It's Friday, the 9th of December 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1. The federal and state governments have agreed to develop what they're calling a capacity mechanism, which is going to rely more heavily on renewable energy. And this is all part of an effort to really put a lid on those sky-high energy prices that we have all been paying.
Yes, Energy Minister Chris Bowen said the Keeping the Lights On mechanism would work through the Commonwealth underwriting renewables projects. Essentially, renewable projects will provide dispatchable power under the agreement. I better explain that one. A power system needs 2 main things: predictability of supply, fair enough, and dispatchability. That's the ability for the Australian energy market operator to get power to maintain a balanced, secure and reliable system. Now, originally, regulators wanted to pay coal generators for that dispatchability. The states didn't want that, so the Commonwealth will effectively underwrite renewable generation. Bowen said the deal will unleash $10 billion of investment in renewable energy projects. Will that bring the cost of power down next year? Not really. This ain't going to happen overnight. It will create investment in clean energy. Great for the long term, not the short term. Today, the National Cabinet meets to discuss factors that can make a more immediate impact. Things like capping coal prices. New South Wales isn't fussed on that one. Capping gas prices. Queensland isn't fast on that one. Should be an interesting meeting, Michael.
It should be. Story number 2, Sean. The federal government will develop a new cybersecurity strategy, with Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neil saying that the country is unnecessarily vulnerable to threats.
Yes, a committee will look at issues such as ensuring critical infrastructure and government systems are resilient, building sovereign capabilities to tackle cyber threats, and boosting the country's cyber workforce. Now, it will be chaired by former Telstra CEO Andy Penn. O'Neil said cybersecurity is a team sport. Everyone needs to work together. Then she went on to say that Australia is facing the most dangerous set of strategic circumstances since World War II. She really knows how to put it.
She sure does. Sean, story number 3, this is an interesting one. The Reserve Bank is getting more creative about how it tracks the economy. For years, it's basically relied on the Bureau of Statistics and also on discussion with senior business leaders. But now, Sean, it's turning to social media.
Yes. Now, part of the problem with the official data is that it's so old. I mean, this week we found out the economic growth rate for the September quarter. Now, the first part of the September quarter was July, 5 months ago. Anyway, the Reserve Bank has developed what it calls a novel measure to look at financial stress. It's based on Google Trends, news stories, and Twitter. Not totally representative of society. But when there's a surge in Google searches for defer my utility bill, for example, that's handy information to know. And the Reserve thinks that using the 3 measures, news stories, Google, and Twitter, they'll be able to read whether or not there's more financial stress on the way. And guess what? They think there is.
Sean, you used to work at the Reserve Bank. How do you reckon you would have gone if they'd said, hey, Sean, can you go and follow Fear and Greed podcast on Instagram?
Yeah, no problems whatsoever. Although if I was still there, hopefully I would have had someone who was 20 that could go and do it for me. But still, okay.
All right, fair call. Now, story number 4, Sean, this is a bit of an update. We spoke earlier in the week about Indonesia passing laws that made consensual sex between non-married adults and cohabitation outside of marriage illegal. Now, DFAT has put out a warning about the new law.
The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has updated its travel advice to Australians. While the revisions to the law won't come into play for 3 years, DFAT has told travellers to stay up to date. These new laws do come with criminal penalties. Unmarried couples caught having sex can be jailed for up to a year. Those who live together can be jailed for up to 6 months. We're talking Bali here. Now, Indonesia's Justice Ministry attempted to calm concerns yesterday, explaining a complaint would have to be filed by the children, parents or spouse of the accused couple.
Finally, Sean, story number 5. I think this is a story that pretty much all of us can relate to. La Nina rain and flooding has caused, how about this, nearly $4 billion in damage to Australian roads, leaving potholes kind of right across the country. I don't reckon there's a road in the country that doesn't have a new pothole on it.
Big calls, you might be right. Roads controlled by 537 councils have suffered $3.8 billion in damage, according to data from the Australian Local Government Association and the Australian Road Research Board. That, of course, has triggered calls for a rethink on how roads are built. What I thought was really interesting, Australian councils are responsible for about 3/4 of the country's roads. That's 678,000 kilometres of tarmac. Pretty incredible. Apparently about 8% of them are in poor condition.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 9th of December, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.